Alright.
Okay, welcome to London Night.
Nice. I saw it.
Passing around the sign-in sheet, make sure you sign it so you get credit for being here. We have a lot of things to cover tonight. Some things we're going to skip over and we'll catch up next week. I want to start off with a good meeting we had with the colonel this morning. This colonel has a very, very good attitude towards force protection. In fact, when he talks about force protection, he doesn't differentiate between the Air Force and the civilian. I have to commend him for that, because when he talks to myself, or talks to Tony, or talks to the Sergeant Randolph, he talks about force protection, and he's talking about one of the military folks or one of ourselves. So he's very, very conscientious about that. Anyway, congratulations for that, because he's already gained a lot of respect for you guys. I want to start off with going over a couple items that we covered in the past in the all-hands meeting. We've been keeping an action item list, as we told you we would, and we're trying to work these off. So I want to go over a few that are still outstanding. One of them is we talked about the need for additional monitors. Now, tonight we've got an awful lot of news for you in regards to monitor leads. Monitor leads. So we're going to skip this one. We'll talk about that later. The vans, as far as the upkeep on the vans and the cleaning of them, they've been better. But we still find trash. We still find packets, empty cigarette packs, and we're still finding some trash in them. So they could definitely be better. Nobody's lost a CAC card lately, which is a good thing, but there is a list up here. If your CAC card doesn't work at the computer, please get your name on that list so we can try to get it activated. Okay, there was an issue about the binding relationship. It was contract terminology is what we were talking about. And one of the things that Harvey's working on and the folks back in Cleveland are working on is to develop a new employment agreement. And that'll be one of the many issues that will be covered in that employment agreement. Bee huts. We had something's happened here that I didn't know about. We've had a bee hut, one of the female bee huts that hasn't had any heat in it for 3 weeks. 3 weeks in this weather. And found out about it today, and we're going to put heaters in there tonight if we need to, but we will have heat in that bee hut tonight. But we can't let that stuff go. It's not healthy. It's not right. And the military will fix it. When I talked to the colonel today, we're going to get it fixed, but we got to make sure we follow through when we put in a request. We got to follow through, especially something like he does. Another thing that I had was, another thing I had was it was brought up that you wanted to hear what the suggestions were that were going in the suggestion box. So we're going to read them, most of them. Some of them, I won't repeat the language that was used, but here's the ones that were a good suggestion. Is incorporate accumulated sick leave and benefits, 8 paid hours per month. Harvey.
Hey, in your employment agreement, you don't accrue sick leave. The only thing that you accrue on this particular contract are PLT hours. There are no sick leave or sick hours associated with this particular contract.
How about putting it in the new contract?
Oh, it's on the way. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. The new employment agreements will start effective. The effective date of the new employment agreement will be the effective date of the new contract. Everybody understand? Knows what I'm saying when I mean employment agreement versus contract. Our goal is to honor the employment agreements that you have in place. And once we have a new contract with the military. We're going to fix all of the loopholes, all of the things that are not quite right in the current employment agreement. Everybody follow what I'm saying? It's gonna be like a do-over. We're just gonna start off fresh with the award of the new contract and make sure that we have all of those things that are not quite where they need to be. They'll say what they're supposed to say, correct all of those going forward.
Yeah, one example of things that needs to be cleaned up in the employment agreement. Your current employment agreement, if you take your second RR at 180 days, then what do you do for the rest of the year?
What do you do for the rest of the
Can't get a break.
The goal is to make sure that that is crystal clear for the upcoming new year for the renewal of the next contract. Yes, sir.
So, are you planning on giving an R&R every 90 days, or is it still going to be 2 a year?
Man, I hope so.
Now, what we got to figure out is a way where you can take your R&R at 90 and 180 if you want to, but we're going to try to figure out a way where we can get that spaced out so that you don't have to go 6 months without an R&R. You know, take your first R&R at 4 months, your second R&R at 8 months, or something like that, so you don't end up sitting here for 6 months without a break.
It would be nice.
But that'll get clarified. One of the suggestions was, or a comment, the profanity being played on the radio by the drivers is uncalled for. Well, that's an easy one because there's no reason for it. It might be a public radio station, but you know, if it's offending anybody in that band, it's not necessary. So please refrain from that if you're a driver. And if you can't, then we'll have to find someone else to drive because we just simply can't have people sitting in a van inappropriate language and being played on the radio. Same thing actually goes for some of the verbal comments we've received from some of the language used when people are riding in the van. You know, if someone's being offended by your language, if they speak up, I hope you honor that and show them enough respect to not offend them. The next one is allow employees to vote, elect monitor leads as if they were electing Congress, and allow for unsatisfactory monitor leads to be voted out. My greatest fear is that you won't stop at monitor leads and you'll work your way on up to my job. So we're not going to let you vote, but we do have a major change in monitor lead selection that we'll talk about tonight. Harvey, number 7.
I think employees need to be responsible for their own actions, if not follow the WGI URS policy. All right, I guess to some degree there is some truth to this. Everyone needs to be responsible for their own actions. We have not held to the letter of the law in terms of things that people do that they shouldn't be doing. Part of that's my fault, part of that's woman's fault, because we try to look at each situation on its own merit. Apparently that's not sitting too well with everyone. So, that being said, as of tomorrow, everything that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing, and you get in a little bit of trouble, there's not going to be a whole lot of latitude around that going forward. I take the blame for not applying it as stringently as possible. I kind of try to keep Morgan from cutting off legs and arms and a few other parts of the anatomy. But we need to go ahead and adhere strictly to those URS policies and procedures regarding disciplinary actions and those kinds of things. You're gonna see a lot more. You're going to see the truth coming in terms of if you mess up, we're going to spank you. That's about the nicest I can put it. And
now, those of you that have been here for a long time are some of our biggest critics in this area. You know, if you remember back, there wasn't any law in town at all for quite a while here. So when we started getting organized, we didn't want to drop the hammer on day one. We're trying to eat this elephant one bite at a time. We've tried to work our way into it. We've tried to mentor, we've tried to encourage. We've brought you in, as Harvey said, and talked, hoped the verbal warnings would work. But we're slowly moving to where we're going to be enforcing the company policies and procedures. So, but we don't think it'll, I hope anyway, it won't have much of an effect, because when I say that, an effect in people getting terminated, because my hope is that we've got there, that most of you know what the rules are. Awful lot of you have come to us and said, hey, we need to follow the rules. We need to take accountability for our actions. So hopefully, when we clamp down on it, it's not going to result in a lot of terminations. I'm pretty confident it won't. Sir?
It's going to have to be played across and balanced, because some of this he said, she said stuff is going to lay into problems with the rules if they're not investigated.
Well, I would say that he say is over. No more drama. I'm going to use that term, no more drama. That's from everybody. And
Now it'll be checked out.
That part?
So it'll be checked out.
Oh, yeah. No one, to my knowledge, no one has received any disciplinary action based on he said, she said. Those people who have received disciplinary actions, I've made sure that it was substantiated and it was deserving and with more approval.
I understand that, I just wanted it out there.
Okay, it's out there now. We're passing on to everyone that, you know what, at the end of the day, in order for us to, you asked for structure. We didn't want to lower, like Morgan said, we didn't want to lower the hammer, just walking in the door and just start doing that. But we're reaching a point where we're getting more structure. It may not be exactly where it should be right now, but we're slowly getting that. But I think we're talking about getting something from the Air Force that gave us some guidelines for what should be accomplished on the site. But you are all aware of the URS policies as they are. Some of them are included in your employment agreement. Yes, ma'am.
Is that all the way down to having on your proper attire for your uniform?
Absolutely. We've tried to encourage you to do that, keeping in mind that there may be some days where I think we use the term where your uniform, where your coat or whatever has been cleaned. Now everybody seems to come up, well, it's in the cleaners. What you need to do is just plan to wear your uniform appropriately, your uniform every day. Just know that unless you're off, you need to be in the uniform. And that's not a URS requirement, that's a requirement of our customers. It has to do with security, being able to look at you and say, oh yeah, that's a WGI employee.
How about you?
So would that fall up under the,
I got mine on. I'm just cold natured. Okay, I have mine on. Yes,
so
sir.
would that fall up under UCMJ, up under one of the art?
No, it doesn't.
How they doing that?
These things are not applicable to the UCMJ. You could, as contractors, we fall up under the UCMJ for the most severe and heinous kind of things. We have our own policies and procedures with WGI and URS that we fall up under. However, should we be involved in something that's really serious, yes, your UCMJ would apply. But for our day-to-day operations and activities, UCMJ doesn't apply to what we do here as contractors.
All right, so the same thing with the clothing, are we following OSHA standards, or we gonna make up our own PPE layout, or what we need to have?
I believe it's part of the contract.
Because some of these places.
Okay, yeah, I think we're about to talk about here things.
Yeah.
The uniform that we're talking about is the shirt, the pants, the coats, the stuff that we're required by contract to wear.
Right.
The PPE is the safety equipment, hard hats, glasses, and stuff that we're required to wear.
But what I'm saying is some of the areas that we might be in that doesn't require this. Okay, well, we still have it on, but I'm saying some areas don't
You
require
mean the
it.
safety equipment?
Yeah, because, now according to what the safety dude told me back there, I haven't looked in the air wash, but I know it's in the air wash. We're not inside that building, in the back of that 130 building back there. We're not in the inside of the building, but we're just on the premises of the building. So we're working in that back fence those black fence areas, we're not required to have those safety goggles and a hard hat to work those two fence areas. But I'm just saying, we do it because we're told to do it.
We have, in regards to where you wear hard hats, glasses, we have been taking that direction from the military. And if the military says we wear it, we wear it. Well, let me tell you what Washington Group URS policy is. If you're on a construction project, I don't care if you're digging a ditch out in the middle of the runway, the only thing that fall on you is an aircraft. If you're on our projects, you will wear a hard hat, safety glasses, and gloves 100% of the time. 100% of the time. So we're trying to strike a balance here for you folks and wear the safety equipment where the military tells us to wear it, or where we, Billy and I, or whoever look and say, okay, there is a hazard here, even if the military hasn't identified it, something like fall, we'll ask you to put a hard hat on. But the company policy, 100% hard hat, safety glasses, and gloves. So we're trying to work with you here, as you don't have to stand out there in a hard hat all day at the runway watching the guy dig a hole. So we're trying to work with you. We have the chin straps of the hard hat should be here any day. They know it.
Just to kind of clarify that, on 130, their safety guy, JD, it is in their agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers that anything inside that work area has to have.
Roger.
You're talking about outside though, right?
All right, we got to move on. We got a lot of stuff to cover. One of the suggestions is that all suggestions should be read at the Monday night meeting. As long as they're fit to be read, we'll read them. For those who would like to attend Sunday service, they should be able to go. Pardon? Company policy, typically, on a job like this, you want to go to worship service, whenever it is. If you get with Lennard, and we can get it scheduled where you've got coverage at your site, you may go to worship service, but we have to dock you an hour's paid for it. We're not going to tell anybody they can't go to worship service. So if you want to go, you get with Lennard, and we can work it out where you have coverage on your site, and it doesn't impact the project, impact the mission, we'll make it work. But it is an hour without pay. So just come see us and we'll try to make it work. Another one is a request for new monitor leads. We're going to talk about that tonight. This one is quit, make sure I get this right, quit putting internet and telephones available for all employees on our employment agreement. 3 computers for 100 employees is a whole bunch of nasty words.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out the next agreement.
Yeah, it's coming out of the next agreement, and I wasn't aware that it was in this agreement that you all thought you would have a telephone and a computer. And I apologize for that, because there was no way we ever intended to provide everybody with a telephone and computer. But what we are doing is, I know of one more phone that we're getting, and when Stan gets back, we're going to build a soundproof phone booth over here in this corner. So you can get in there, close the door, and have a little privacy for one phone anyway. But the best promise we have, the best thing we have to alleviate the computer situation is if we can get the internet system for this building. So we're working on it. It's a tough pill for corporate to swallow because of the cost, but I haven't given up on it. Yes, ma'am.
The boxes and the meat has been in there, is that gonna work?
What?
I am talking about for the IL folks down here. I got my fingers crossed, lady, because I am hoping that, you know, that we were told that the folks down here were going to fix it where you can get your internet and your VHUD. And I've been hearing that story for about 2 weeks. Apparently they're still waiting on some more equipment, but I'm hoping for that will be available, because that'll alleviate a lot of folk coming in here and using these.
It will free up these computers a little bit. There'll be internet. You got it. I think there may be an issue that they have to get over before they're allowed to activate it, but it should happen. Move the phone away from the computers to the other side of the room. Hopefully we can get that phone in the booth and maybe get another phone over here on the table. Another comment about the monitor leads. This one is, not sure how we pull this one off, but it's possible. Van drivers, each day before departing the parking lot, the drivers need to contact base by radio and inform them of the number of personnel in the van and what time they're going to depart. The reason for it, in the suggestion, was it gives the base a chance to check the PEV that everyone has a ride. Also, it allows you to see who is always late to leave the PEV along with the radio checks completed. I believe what prompted this is some complaints we've had from the drivers that they can't get everybody out of the building and get them into the van, so they leave, then they gotta come back and get the strikers. The easiest way to fix it, for everybody to be here on time, everybody go out, get in the van, get in the bus, go to work. I don't think we want to call in the van from the vans and try to take account, try to say who's here and who isn't. Our sign-in law works really good, except for those who continue to sign in for people who aren't here. We're going to try to get a hold of that. But please be on time, please sign in, and please get into the vans on time so we can get everybody to work on time. That's all I got on that list. I won't go through all these. What we're going to talk about tonight is monitor leads. So far, well, be careful. Since I've been here, monitor leads, I don't know how many that we promoted, but we have promoted leads to monitor leads at management's discretion. Now, we've done that based on the attitude, recommendations from other employees and recommendations from the Air Force. We've done it based on their work ethic. We've done it based on their job performance to date, their character, communication skills, all those attributes that we felt the person demonstrated that warranted a promotion to monitor lead. Not going to do that anymore. We're not going to promote anybody. In fact, we're going to repost all 7 monitor lead positions, so all of you can go online and recompete for all 7 monitor lead positions. Now, that doesn't mean that all of the current monitor leads are going to lose their job, because they will have an equal chance to bid on the job, or not bid on it, but submit their resume on it, submit their qualifications. We will review them, and we will select based on the information provided to us. My promoting a monitor to a monitor lead is not defensible. And there's been several of you right here on Monday night, Monday or 6 o'clock in the morning, objecting to the way that we have selected monitor leads. In the suggestion box, there's comments about it. We want to vote on the person. So we're going to start all over. We're not going to promote anybody. If you're a monitor and you want to be a monitor lead, there's going to be 7 positions posted. Apply for them. However, you're not going to get the job if you don't apply for it. We have had monitor lead positions posted online ever since I came to Afghanistan. I don't recall ever seeing one single resume submitted for a monitor lead position. Not one. It never got to, if it was submitted to our recruiters, it never got to me. But I have not yet received one single monitor lead resume from our recruiters. And that's where it goes. When you submit for a position, it goes to a recruiter. Now, whether you've applied for it and they haven't forwarded to us, I don't know. But now there's gonna be 7 of them posted, so now is your chance to be a monitor lead. You don't like the monitor leads we've selected, we get complaints every day. Now's an opportunity for you to step up, be a monitor lead. But some of the current monitor leads, I'm sure, and I'm hopeful, will reapply for their position. And I think we're really, really close to getting the money for that position. I can't stand here and tell you it's gonna happen, but I think we're doggone close to seeing it. I wish I could tell you it'd be a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, I don't know. But they haven't given up, they're making great progress on it, and I think we're finally gonna get the money for it. It's unfortunate for some of those folks that have been monitor leads for a while and not getting the money, and now when we get the money, they may not have the job. So, well, we're gonna start over. We're gonna start over. It's what you've asked for, it's what we're gonna do. So, question?
I'm kind of confused. If we're going to have monitor leads here, why is it going on the computer to come back here? Why not just select here?
Okay, just.
Absolutely.
All right, remember when, do any of you remember going online and applying for a monitor lead position on URS Corp jobs? Okay, there's a system we use we call Virtual Edge, and it's an internal system and external system that we use to collect resumes and post jobs. By using that type of a system, we know who's applied. We have your resume. We can run a sorting process that will give us those candidates with the traits that we're looking for that will be the fit for what we want here. That way, nobody's resume gets lost in the back office. Your stuff is online. We can go in there and track the progress of everything. It's simply a matter of going online and applying, just like you did the other one. We still haven't ironed out the process by which we would make the selections, but it will be transparent. Everybody will know as to what other criteria for selection. So I encourage you, when those things are put out there, go out there. This is the fairest that it can be. Is that the jobs out there posted, you can go apply. Then we look at those resumes there. And here's another thing: other people within URS Corporation are going to be allowed to apply for those positions. That's how we've kind of come up with a way of making that as fair, the selection process for monitor leads as fair as possible, and it is defensible. Typically, when we have these kind of situations, when things are revving up, and in the first year of a contract, it's a lot more difficult to have an established process for selecting for positions. Any veterans out here that have been out here on a contract where it's just starting up, you might have someone leave 1 week and get somebody in the next week. And so a lot of times you use that management's discretion to make sure that you have the people in place to do what you need. It's more, it just made good business sense. Now as we begin to move into the second year, which year I call sustainment versus contingency, we have to level set those things that will make it fair and just for everybody.
Any other questions?
I think the fairness, through that first selection process, selecting the monitor leads, you got to have people in place. I think it would be unfair to wait until this next contract, decide to pay these people that has already given their time and waited on their money. And I think that's the reason why people did not apply.
Oh yeah, I understand.
The proper way, because we're talking dollars.
That has
here
been
for money.
That has been communicated. Some people
You like me or don't like me.
If you want me to work at a high level, you need to pay. And there's nothing wrong with
And we didn't see that, so you guys had to select based on
Volunteers.
like you or didn't like you.
No, not based on like you or dislike you, Dwight. Based on
But you
people
know
who
what I'm saying,
volunteered.
famous
And we
people.
selected the best
Okay,
possible person.
hold on.
Okay, I don't like that like you and dislike you because it
Well,
wasn't done that way.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say what I need to
Thank
say. And don't get upset.
I'm not upset. I'm just no, I don't, that like you, dislike you, okay, that's perception, So I agree with you in principle. I agree with you in principle.
Okay, then,
All
let me
right.
say what I need to say.
All right, go on.
We know you HR, okay?
Go on.
But pay these folks, show them that much respect.
Yeah.
Pay them.
Yeah.
And then we will apply when that dollar is in place. There's no big problem with that. But these guys have been holding down these positions for a minute, and that's all I need to say.
We appreciate it. I guarantee you, we appreciate those people that stepped up and said, you know what, I'll do this. I will do this. So, yeah, and that's the reason for the changes. The police positions are going to be compensated. That's where it is. Yes, sir.
So what happened to everybody's resume that they submitted when Bill came out here to make selection? A group of people submitted their resume for model to lead. So what happened to those resumes?
I have no idea. I really don't.
When were they submitted to?
To Neil.
Yeah.
There were two separate occasions when Neil and, let's see here, Jerry and Paul Clerk, we had to submit your resumes. Two different times they come back and they were like, well, we didn't receive the real resume, so we're going to pick people we want. And there are people like, what do you mean? We all sent, half a dozen people sent their resumes.
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that, but now the program, back then they didn't have it set up where you went online. I might have misspoke earlier when I talked about the positions we have online for monitor lead. No one here has submitted a resume against those positions that I've received. We have had people all over the United States and within the company outside of this job that have submitted to be a monitor lead. We haven't selected them to fill the spots because we'd like to fill from within, but if we don't get the resumes, we'll have to go outside.
Now, I don't know about anybody else, but this is my first time ever hearing about the monitor lead positions being posted, and that you have to go to the website to apply for it. I'm the only one that didn't hear it?
He's right. No, we didn't hear. This is the first time the structure has been said.
So that's why you haven't got any resumes, nobody knew.
No, I'm still confused. We have to go all the way out into corporate, come all the way back to identify people who already have their boots on the ground? And that's supposed to be fair for the people who are out there versus the ones who are already here.
Okay, everybody within the corporation has an opportunity to apply for a monitor lead position. We are going to try to fill those positions right here. We're not going to take, ideally we would not select someone from Anderson, Alabama.
Then why go out on the computer?
Okay.
Because that's the way we keep up. That's the way we keep up with things.
We very, very unlikely we're going to pick anybody if we get enough applicants right here. But if we don't get enough applicants here, then what choice are we going to have? Because
They go out on the computer.
if I go ahead and pick you as a monitor lead and you didn't apply for it, nobody's happy again. Can't do that. I can't promote you. I don't give a damn how good you are. I can't promote you.
Okay,
So
so
we're
that
going to
was,
pick them offline. You got to submit your resume. I got to get your resume.
so monitor lead now is an official title at corporate.
That would be yes.
Okay, that's, now I understand something, because I thought it was just a local thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We had to go through all of that process to get it to where it was legal and the job description, all of that. There is a arduous administrative process to make those kinds of things happen, especially with positions that were typically not within the system. There was not a job description or anything within the virtual ed system that had the name monitor lead.
See, a lot of us thought that was local. Now that it's stated as at corporate level, I got it.
All right.
So you got to leave without the money.
Pretty much. That's what's going on right now. People volunteered. And other people that volunteered, we selected the people that we thought would be the best people to do that. And they're not being compensated. So, that's the thing.
I commend them.
And I appreciate it.
I commend them.
It gets a lot of aggravation.
Yeah.
Yeah, our monitor leads have taken on a lot of responsibility based on a promise they would get the money.
Yeah, some of them.
So they've been shouldering additional responsibility.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, we do. We have some good, some of them are good.
All right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions about that?
It's your meeting, let's hear it.
It's open forum. Yes, sir.
The phone and the 3 computers are not for WGI office personnel for business. These are morale computers and only should be used for off-duty Air Force and civilians. That's the way it's always been.
In a perfect world, you work like that. But
So
we are still
I trust that you will monitor them and make sure they don't use the computers.
Oh, they have to use the computers. There are only so many computers to go around for us to actually do the real work. We have to use computers out here, computers in there. You know, it's a hot cotton computer kind of thing. I really appreciate, you know, hey, look, I want to come in here and check my email. But if there's a report to be done, to be sent out, and that's the only one available, that's kind of how it works.
Well, it's not really fair for the Air Force personnel either.
It's not fair for anybody. It's just the way it is.
That's not the way it was or not the way it's supposed to be.
No, it isn't. I agree with you. I agree with you. We just don't have enough resources, so we have to balance that as best we can.
Yes, sir, I got a couple of them. Let's see here, first one, bee huts. We're still scheduled to be moving into the bee huts.
We don't know what's going on. You know, we talked some time ago that we thought in February, sometime in March, we'd probably all be moving into the bee huts. And we found out the other day that there's an additional 250 military people coming over to the side. So now we're not sure what's going to happen. But I'm quite sure there will be some movement. I don't know which building we're going to or which bee hut we're going to, but we will be moving, I think, in the next month or so. Yep.
With the influx of troops coming in,
Pardon? Yep.
it's already been demonstrated that that Cadillac there in the middle is taxed to the max with what we have.
Yep.
Has it been brought to the military's attention that that needs to be addressed? Just for health and sanitation. You're going to influx these troops with just the resources you have, and the resources you have are not significant to support with what you have now.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is, but I'm sure they can bring in more porta potties for that part of it, and maybe they'll set up another one if it gets too crowded.
Yes, sir, the bee huts. When we do get moved into them, or however it's gonna work, will it be a single person per section, or are they gonna try and double us up?
Don't know, depends on what comes available. If it's mission essential that we double bunk, we'll double bunk, myself included.
Next question. Bonuses. Okay, I keep hearing different stories about the bonuses. By the time I get out here, my ticket says like May 13th. I figured it up, it'll be over 10 and a half months, be around $4,600 if it's prorated. Is that what I'll get?
And the key word is prorated.
Yes.
Prorated based on the end of the current contract. That's where we're going to try to do that. Prorated to the end of the current contract. That would be honoring your end of the contract, but your employment agreement probably says that.
Yes, sir, and when is that date exactly?
May 24th.
May 24th. Okay, so I'll still have the proration, because that's what they told us when we come in, it's like, because they didn't come until July 6th. So they said you'll have a proration at your time here, based off the end of the contract. So that's still firm?
That's still with firm, and our intention is to ensure that the employment agreements are honored. Yes, sir.
So what are you guys talking, have you been awarded the next contract, or you still don't know? Or
No,
when will we find out about that?
We're hoping to find out in a month, probably within the next month, by the end of March, at the latest. And we have been told by the colonel that was here, Colonel Evans, and the colonel up at Kandahar, who make the recommendation to the contracting officer, that they didn't see any reason not to renew our contract. So unless we blow this thing wide open, I see absolutely no reason why we wouldn't get the extension.
Yes, sir.
Last thing.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Training. Today, case in point. I busted 2 guys, TCNs coming through. They had memory cards and their little MP3 players. Everybody was told specifically at the CI meeting just a week and a half ago, watch out, they're catching guys with this stuff. Bad things, catch them, turn them in. I had a person sitting in the van next to me tell me I was a mean person and those were perfectly allowed on the flight line, the TCNs could have them, and that was a complete ass for taking these guys to CI. You know what? I'm not an ass. You're not hurting these people's feelings or being mean by doing your job. You don't have to be mean to them. To be firm, you do your job right. They got people getting in here with stuff like that, and then you got somebody that walks up and says, oh, that's okay. It's not okay. And we need the training so everybody's on the same page and there are no questions.
One of the things that we're trying to do, and somebody made the suggestion, I don't know if it was made in the box or where we got it, but the suggestion was that we get a daily intelligence briefing. Well, they aren't going to give us a daily intelligence briefing, but what we're working toward is getting at least a weekly update from the Air Force intel over here, so you guys know the kind of things that they're finding on base, the kind of problems they're having on base, just to give you a better idea of what can be brought in. I don't know if I told you this on Monday night last week, but I have a number of videos from my 2.5 years in Iraq of what explosions can do and what, unfortunately, some of us got pretty close to. I wanted to show them to you on Monday night, maybe show one every other night or so, Monday night, but I've been advised by the company that I shouldn't do that because they're rather violent. But I can tell you that when a vehicle approaches a gate and it's loaded with 2,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate, which is fertilizer, and diesel fuel, and they detonate it at the gate, and it kills every single person within 100 feet of the site of the explosion. Every single person was killed. Man, I'm telling you, you know, don't be mean to the folks like you said, but I don't blame you if you want to take a second look at a vehicle, and I don't blame you if you want to turn one of them in for carrying a cell phone. This is serious, guys. It really is. But do it in a manner that is not offensive as you can, but you know, don't let these guys become your friends. That's one of their favorite tactics. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clear, because unless I don't know the difference between memory cards and thumb drives, I could have sworn he made it clear that they weren't supposed to have thumb drives. And I know they're different, but unless I'm wrong, he didn't say anything in the meeting about memory cards. He said you're not supposed to have thumb drives.
Memory storage devices.
Any storage, any memory storage device, whether it be, anything like that. Yes, sir.
We were talking out at one of the sites, and you know the weather's been bad, and a lot of the CCDs are not showing up. Those could be used as days to bring people back in, and maybe get one of the Air Force guys to come over and go over some things, you know, instead of just having people sitting out there, you know.
If you didn't hear that, the suggestion is that when we had all this inclement weather and the locals haven't showed up, that we use that downtime for more training. We definitely plan to do that. In fact, if we had a training session yesterday, that was a mandatory training session. Some folks didn't show up to the mandatory training session, but we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it, and we are going to get some more training. I was talking to Billy today, and we've been over talking to the fire department, trying to get the first aid training in here for us. So we're trying to find folks that can come in here and do some training. I think I had a question over here.
If you look at the contract, when you say it ends on the 24th,
Yeah.
I think most people I know, the contract ends around 11, 12, 13. They get the extra 12, 13 days. Really. My flight leaves here May 12th. You say it ends May 24th. My itinerary, going back home.
Okay, your date of hire was May 11th?
No, I didn't hear my COVID. I'm saying it ended.
Yeah, but when did you, what's your date of hire? Yeah, because your employment agreement is a 12-month, you can talk about it, 12-month agreement.
I'm just saying, are you going to change my flight? Because my flight, I leave here May 12th.
You talking about the back end of your round trip ticket?
Yes.
Yeah, it don't matter what the back end of your round trip ticket is. We will change those to match the date that you leave. If the contract ends on the 24th, you know, the Air Force is not going to let 100 people walk out the gate.
The employment agreements are not about 12 months contracts. They all end on, I think, April 11th or something like different dates. But that employment agreement ends at that date. And it doesn't go any further, no matter when you sign your contract.
The specific term is contract year date.
Contract year.
Contract, my contract, our contract with the government.
That's the date it ends. It specifically says that in paragraph 2 under page 1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Okay.
It's there. I know it's there.
I got a couple.
Yes,
What
there.
page was that?
First page of the contract.
Yeah, I've read it.
Where it says this agreement is for a 12-month contract period?
Yeah.
The contract period date, if you look at the date above, it says specifically May 11th.
So,
May 11th, everybody got to go home.
But I got 2 other questions.
You know what, I think that, I understand how everybody's kind of consumed and involved in all of that, because we don't have a definitive word on the renewal of the contract. We're gonna be right. That's my gut feeling and my experience in doing this.
Well, the problem is that our employment agreements end on April 11th, and they can't be extended unless it's agreed upon.
Because you can't legally write a contract beyond the end date. Anyway, I got 2 questions.
We're not, we can't change, we can't change.
Our contract.
The contract date, and it coincides with that date.
Anyway, I got 2 questions. Question 1, a couple weeks ago I brought up the fact that footwear and that for this cold weather or wet weather needed to be brought in. I have not heard anything about it, but that's a health and welfare issue as well as a safety issue. Anything on that?
I think we just ordered 2 pair of boots. There are going to be times when it's going to be wet. There are going to be times when it's going to be cold, dry.
These boots won't protect the feet in cold and wet weather. Number 1, the zippers allow water in, which allows frostbite, and it allows trench foot. Both are health and welfare issues. Second question. Grimace, every time it comes out, it's got this mishmash amount of meals. I mean, one time it's 85, one time it's 125, whatever. What's going on there? Why can't there be a balanced set of meals where people know they're going to get fed rather than guess?
that's the first I've heard of that. We have all the meals that we could possibly use. We have 100 meals, so we can get.
We've had people not eating at the Vortac because they got out there and had no meals. We had meals come out with 1 meat. We had people
All the time.
have to go to the DFAC because there was nothing on there.
So you're saying that the Grimace
Runs out of food all the time.
The commander wrote a note, and when I pick up the food, they only give us 80 meals. There's not 80 people.
Yeah, we've got a letter for 120, I believe.
But they only give
What's the letter?
us 80 meals.
The initial letter was for 125.
120.
92, yeah, you should have a letter to Grimace Truck that says 120 meals.
But when they give us the food, it's how much?
They give you, yeah, it's only 80 meals. They give you 80 meals? Yeah. Because we have to go in there and sign, it's only 80.
That's the first I've heard about it, we'll see if we can fix that.
This place is great. Tell us our paperwork.
Can we get burgers for buy those?
Burgers? We can't get burgers.
All right. I got a couple of things I need to talk about. Is that about all for overflow?
Anything else
I
really
got a couple of
important?
things. Yes, sir.
Washing facilities, we have to go all the way to Disney to wash our clothes. We have manual washing dryers. And we lose a lot of time, our days off, to go over there. Is there any possibilities that we could have down something or that put over on this side for us?
You know what? They just rebuilt the base laundry facility over on this side. And that is the facility that you're supposed to be using. The washing facilities over on Disney on the other side, that's just a matter of convenience. You know, the reason for the washing facility and all of that is where you take your clothes there. The likelihood of one being on this side, I mean, we can ask the
We have to
question.
make a recommendation for
We
you.
can ask the
That's
question.
all, because so many people here.
Yeah, we can ask the question.
Thank you.
You can spend your day off washing clothes, or you can take and turn them in, and then you're just supplying the pockets with socks and underwear.
Okay.
Yeah, they steal your stuff.
Yeah.
That decision's coming down to
It's true.
man.
All right. I tell you what, guys, I have not used the turn-in facility since March of 2009. And that's just my choice. I choose not to do that, you know, for various reasons. That is what's being provided for you, is to turn them in. But, you know, if it's your day off, or you get off early and decide to go do it, you know, it's just, that's not, we can ask the question, can we get one on this side? Probably.
Yes, yeah.
One more question.
The Eagle Cash card sign up was supposed to be taken care of like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. The list is still up there. What's the status of this?
All right, nobody else wants to sign up on the Eagle Cash, we'll go ahead and make that work happen, but we want to make sure everybody has a chance to sign up for it, so.
All you have to do is go over by the Russian Tower, there's a building right across from it.
Yeah.
Go up on the second floor and get your Eagle Cash card. That's all you have, I got
You
one
need
2 weeks
you need a
ago.
copy of it, you need a copy of the voice check. All right, Eddie, you got anything else?
Yes.
You got anything? Yeah, I got one last thing.
Go for it.
All right, last thing I have is, I want to talk again about working with our military site leads and our monitor leads. We are all part of the same team, guys. We still get complaints from both sides about how the other side is acting. That just shouldn't happen. I've met along with the folks back here in the corner. They're working with their guys and trying to improve it from that side. We need to work with ours, trying to improve from our side. But we are all the same group of people, and you know, we got to figure out how to make it work. I don't care who we end up having monitor leads, we've got to work with our Air Force counterparts. It shouldn't be that hard. So I hope we don't have any more problems, but I will say one thing. If you have a chance to help the military, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the military, and you owe it to your country to help them. So if one of them forgets something, if one of them puts something down and walks away from it that he shouldn't do, and you happen to be there, and you could give him a chance to not get in trouble, then I sure hope you would do that. You know, we all have a brain fart once in a while, and if one of our young service members walks off and forgets his weapon, you might holler at him and say, hey, don't leave your weapon. So don't take it as a chance to get even or stick them. Take it as an opportunity to help them. That's all I got.
Training. That was the last piece that I had. Okay. There are some things that some training that I can provide to you from an HR perspective. It really just depends on whether or not that's something you want to do. Everything from resolution to some sexual harassment training. I have a litany, a whole group of different types of training that I can share with you. Now, here's the deal. If, depends on what we have going on. I could do it on these nights, but I prefer not to. And most of the training that I provide are 15, 30-minute vignettes. Things that you can use in your interpersonal relationships, things that you can use in terms of understanding what's going on around here. I got a real interesting training that I do on Afghanistan. So, if you guys have the situations you were talking about, people coming back in, and you're on the clock, so we can kind of just say, yeah, this is what we're going to do, since you don't have anything else to do. We can have that as part of the training, especially if we can't get anything from the Air Force along your job training. I can give you some what I call soft skills training. There's some things that will be helpful.
I'd be willing to help with stuff like the ECP procedures. I have some friends in security forces. I see if I can get some paperwork from them, because the stuff I tell people at the ECPs, it's not made up. It's not, I think this is the way it's supposed to be. It's how it's supposed to be. When we got here, we took a course. They showed us this thing called OI, Operational Instructions. I mean, it wasn't theory. It was like, this is how it's supposed to be done, period. So I'd be perfectly willing to help. You know.
So tomorrow morning, everybody's gonna be dressed in their work uniform of the day.
We usually start out this meeting with a safety topic. We're gonna end it tonight with a safety topic. We'll probably have to begin at 0600 in the morning. We have talked about this before, but apparently we need to talk about it again. Please, don't go four-wheeling with our vans. I'm sure most of you know about where one of our vans was for quite a while today. It's in the same place that the Humvee is sitting right now that tried to pull it out. So if you're going to be a driver, please don't go four-wheeling. All right, guys, have a good night. I'm glad you all showed up.
Were you smoking someone else's lighter?